Hello, everybody. How are you? We are back for another Bible reading. We are going through the stories of the Bible for people who don't know the stories of the Bible, have only heard bits and pieces of them, or you only know what somebody else has told you about them. Or maybe it's been a long time since you've read them and you've just flat out forgotten some of them. Well, we go through all of the stories in the Bible so that you know what they say. We just try to keep it simple. We just tell you what the stories say. If you are watching this on YouTube, thank you so much. Please hit the like and subscribe button. We go live on Facebook on a page called Get Clear Teachings, and then we upload these videos to YouTube later. So you can always go over to Facebook and watch us live if you want. Well, we've been going through the story of Nehemiah, and Nehemiah is rebuilding the wall that goes around Jerusalem, the city wall. In chapter 3, we see where he rebuilt all of the gates. And now we are moving on to Nehemiah chapter 4. So let's just jump right in and get started. When Sanballat heard that we were rebuilding the wall, he became furious. He mocked the Jews before his colleagues and the powerful men of Samaria and said, "What are these pathetic Jews doing? Can they restore it by themselves? Will they offer sacrifices? Will they ever finish it? Can they bring these burnt stones back to life from the mound of rubble?" Then Tobiah, the Ammonite, who was beside him, said, "Indeed, even if a fox climbed up what they are building, he would break down their stone wall." Listen, our God, for we are despised. Make their insults return on their own heads, and let them be taken as plunder to a land of captivity. Do not cover their guilt or let their sin be erased from your sight, because they have angered the builders. So we rebuilt the wall until the entire wall was joined together up to half its height, for the people had the will to keep working. When Sanballat, Tobiah, and the Arabs, Ammonites, and Ashdodites heard that the repair of the walls of Jerusalem was progressing and that the gaps were being closed, they became furious. They all plotted together to come and fight against Jerusalem and throw it into confusion. So we prayed to our God and stationed a guard because of them day and night in Judah. It was said, "The strength of the laborer fails. Since there is so much rubble, we will never be able to rebuild the wall." And our enemies said, "They won't realize it until we're among them and can kill them and stop the work." When the Jews who lived nearby arrived, they said to us time and again, "Everywhere you turn, they attack us." So I stationed people behind the lowest section of the wall, at the vulnerable areas. I stationed them by families with their swords, spears, and bows. After I made an inspection, I stood up and said to the nobles, the officials, and the rest of the people, "Don't be afraid of them. Remember the great and awe-inspiring Lord, and fight for your countrymen, your sons and daughters, your wives and homes." When our enemies heard that we knew their scheme and that God had frustrated it, every one of us returned to his own work on the wall. From that day on, half of my men did the work on the wall, while the other half held spears, shields, bows, and armor. The officers supported all the people of Judah who were rebuilding the wall. The laborers who carried the loads worked with one hand and held a weapon with the other. Each of the builders had his sword strapped around his waist while he was building, and the trumpeter was beside me. Then I said to the nobles, the officials, and the rest of the people, "The work is enormous and spread out, and we are separated far from one another along the wall. Wherever you hear the trumpet sound, rally to us there. Our God will fight for us." So we continued the work, while half of the men were holding spears from daybreak until the stars came out. At that time I also said to the people, "Let everyone and his servant spend the night inside Jerusalem so that they can stand guard at night and work by day." And I, my brothers, my servants, and the men of the guard with me never took off our clothes. Each carried his weapon, even when washing. That is the end of chapter 4 of Nehemiah. Well, there are three ways that we look at these scriptures whenever we read them. What does it say? We have to read the words on the page. If you don't read the words on the page, you do not know what it says. You only know what somebody told you it said. Next, we have to take everything into context. What was it saying to the people that it was written to? What was it saying to the people of the time? The history surrounding it, the culture surrounding it. In other words, what's going on here? And last but not least, what, if anything, is this saying to us today? So let's unpack this real quick. So we see here in chapter 4 that as Nehemiah and his men are going about working on the wall, there are some people they don't like that very much. They're upset about it, and they're mocking them. They're like, oh, there's no way that what are they going to do? Turn all that rubble into a decent looking wall? That's not going to happen. They said, yeah, even if a fox climbs on it, a fox is a kind of a light animal. If it climbs on it, that whole wall is going to fall apart. And they just mocked this whole process. Then they thought, they're still at it. They're still going to trying to build this wall. It looks like they're not going to stop until we kill them. So when they found out that that's how upset these people were at them building the wall, they decided to station people with swords and spears to protect the workers while they were working on the wall, to protect the wall and to protect the people. And they had rallied so many people from Jerusalem around this cause and this project that people came out from all over. And they're working from daybreak until nightfall. They're working on this wall, and nothing was going to deter them from this. So eventually, as the wall is being built, it's getting spread out, and the workers are so far apart that they can't necessarily see or hear each other. So they devised this communication system, this trumpet. If you need some help, you blow the trumpet. When we hear the trumpet, we'll go and sort of help each other out that way. It was they didn't have telephones back then. They didn't have text message. So what they did is they devised this other communication system. They did not change their clothes. Nehemiah says he didn't change his clothes. He never took his clothes off. And when he washed himself, he still kept his sword with him. He made sure that everybody carried a weapon because they were under attack for rebuilding this wall. Now, what was the point of them building this wall? Why was this wall so important? You have to remember that Jerusalem was where the temple was. This was God's capital city. He had established promises that would come out of Jerusalem, the Messiah being one of them. And he had established promises with the Jewish people, with the Israelite children, that had to do with the protection of Jerusalem. And so here we see that God has, got my phone ringing. God has strengthened these people. He has protected these people because this was a cause that God got behind, that God was behind. He said, this is a right cause. This is something that I want done. And so they went ahead and continued working even in the face of adversity. So I think one of the things that we can take out of this is that sometimes in our life, when we are doing what God has told us to do, when he has called us to do something, sometimes we face adversity from enemies. But if we are truly called by God to do this, he's going to protect our efforts. Doesn't mean bad things aren't going to happen. It doesn't mean people aren't going to come against us. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it means that he will protect our efforts, just like he's protecting the building of this wall. So that's Nehemiah 4. And I look forward to us getting through this. We're going to move on next time to Nehemiah chapter 5, and we're going to watch the unfolding and the building and dedication of this wall as it comes to fruition. So I hope you join me next time. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and God bless you.